Hello viewers, I am going to tell you today about my new lightweight aluminum flywheel from UUC Motorwerks. Now, if you have found this video because you were searching about flywheels, that's good. This is not BMW E46 specific. This is a review of a lightweight flywheel in essentially any car. Obviously the experience will be slightly different car to car, but the general concepts of a lightweight flywheel will stay the same. So, why a lightweight flywheel? Well, I'd like to say that I was ready to take my car to the next level of performance, and so I got the lightest flywheel I could for a snappier response. No, it's because this happened.
Probably. Is it really? Yeah. How am I gonna get back over there? Push. You're gonna push you?
So, there you have it. When you drive on the track, stuff happens sometimes, and this is what my clutch ended up looking like. And I only got a chance to look at it after cursing and bleeding and having a terrible time, frankly, dropping the transmission from my car. It was my first time doing a transmission in a BMW, and it seemed pretty straightforward, but every single bolt was seized, and it was a nightmare. I don't even want to talk about it. Point is that I got everything out, I got the new flywheel in, everything is fantastic, and I'm happy to say that it was almost worth the effort of dropping a transmission and changing a clutch in one of these cars. So if your research has landed you here, you probably already know that you are looking to change from a dual mass flywheel to a single mass flywheel. So this one that I have in this car is the UUC ultra lightweight aluminum flywheel, and it is a lot lighter than the OEM dual mass flywheel in an E46 BMW. So when I took my dual mass flywheel out, it was completely worn out, and that means that there was a lot of play in the two dual mass pieces. So not only was I going to upgrade the clutch, but it's like I'm going to do the flywheel at the same time. So I got this one. And I can completely and happily tell you that it is something that you should do to your car, in my opinion. So, as I said earlier, this is the UUC Motorwerks lightweight aluminum flywheel and the sprung hub organic clutch. I really like this flywheel. So there's two major advantages to any lightweight flywheel, not just one on an E46 BMW. The first one is that shifting is completely different. Since there's less rotational mass, it doesn't take the engine as much energy to rev up. That means it can rev up quicker. That means when you blip the throttle for a downshift, when you're sitting at a stoplight and you think you're really cool, it revs up and it revs down really fast. Sounds like a really sporty car. Now, what this translates to is the fact that the revs fall quicker too. The time between shifts feels like it has been cut in half for me. It probably hasn't. It's probably been reduced by like 25 or 30%, but it completely changes the character of the entire car. Before, it was pause, shift, release the clutch. Now it feels like I just get to row through the gears all the way up and down. And as the gaps in the ratios change, as you go up from, for example, third to fourth, it's really quick. Fourth to fifth is really quick. So when you push the clutch and you shift and you release the clutch, just like that, bang. So shifting up looks like this now. So now, when I get into a car that has a dual mass flywheel, like my Saab 9-3, I'm pretty sure the flywheel in that thing weighs like 975 pounds, because the time that you have to wait for the revs to fall between first and second makes me feel like I want to get out of the car and hitchhike to a bus stop so I can get a ride to my destination quicker. Now, I'm happy to say that that's not the only advantage of a lightweight flywheel. The other part is that since the flywheel weighs less, the engine has to do less work. to spin it up. That means that there's more power available to go to the wheels. This is a bunch of math. So basically what that translates to is more power at the wheels. What that translates to is quicker acceleration. It changes for each gear. Some people don't believe this, or there's a lot of debate on how this actually works. If you are curious, I implore you, do your own research, but I will warn you that the calculations look something like this, and this, and this. So what does that mean for actually driving a BMW 325 around with a lightweight flywheel? Well, the power difference, it was immediately noticeable for me. I don't know if this is because I have a lower powered car. All I can tell you is that before, in third gear, if you put your foot down, not a whole lot would happen. This isn't a super powerful car. But now there is a distinctive kick. So this is third gear. Woo! It didn't do that before. And now it does. Fourth gear is obvious too. I mean, fifth gear still feels like, but that, whatever. So the whole point is that it has made a difference, and it feels like more horsepower. It feels like I have tuned a part of the engine, and I guess I have in a way. What are the disadvantages of a lightweight flywheel? Well, the issue that everybody seems to have with it is that since there is less rotational mass, you need a little bit more revs, a little bit more gas to get it going off the line. Because if you don't, it might stall out. I know in some cars, so you saw me do it there, so I just had to rev the car a little bit higher before I let the clutch all the way out. Okay, for me, this just became very quickly a part of driving the car. It's not like I was devastated and I had to relearn how to drive the whole thing. No, it was just a matter of practicing it a little bit, and then it just became second nature. Occasionally, yes, I do mess it up and I stutter a little bit, but it's very rare, and to be honest, I did that before I had the flywheel anyway. I think that's just me. So it really isn't that big of a deal. It's something that if you're just learning how to drive a standard, you might not want to get a lightweight flywheel. I would imagine you wouldn't anyway, but you kind of have to have good clutch control and good throttle control to be able to modulate it perfectly so you can smoothly drive away. Now, the other thing that becomes an issue with people is that since there's no dual mass flywheel to dampen vibrations from the engine, you get what's called flywheel chatter, or gear rattle, or gear chatter, whatever you want to call it. This is essentially just a noise that you only hear when you are sitting still at idle with the clutch out in neutral. So that's the only time you hear it, and everyone blows this out of proportion, to be perfectly honest. Yes, the car does sound a little bit like a diesel when you're sitting at a stoplight. It sounds something like this. You see, it is a noise, it is distinctive, and it is different, but it's not something to have a panic attack about. It's really not that big of a deal. In fact, actually, I find it's a little bit of a conversation starter. People go, why does your car sound like that? And I'm like, oh, well, let me tell you, because I have a lightweight flywheel. And then I get to tell them all about it, and that's what I like to do, is talk, as you can see. I'm going to stop now. Now, what else can I say about UUC Motorwerks? Every time I have ever called there, Rob has picked up the phone. He'll be the guy that you talk to if you call, and he's answered all my questions. And I've had a lot of questions. When I was installing it, I called him and I asked him. He'd tell me what to do. When I had an issue with something, I called him. He'd tell me what to do. When I had a question about, what is this noise and what is that noise? He says, relax, it's probably the clutch breaking in, right? So he's always there to help you, and that's a very valuable thing. It's not like you're buying a part from a huge corporation where you wait in line for 42 minutes and you talk to somebody in a different country. Well, I guess it is a different country. I'm from Canada. But the point is that it was a fantastic buying experience, and there was even a minor issue. The crank bolts were left out of the package for whatever reason. I called Rob up right away, and he's like, so sorry about that, and he shipped them out that day, and they got to me like a day and a half later, right? No questions asked, no issues whatsoever. So the whole experience dealing with UUC was fantastic. I'd buy other products from them anytime. So for me, that was a very important aspect of purchasing something for a car, especially something that has a complicated install procedure and something that has kind of some quirks about it that you might have questions about. Having someone there to talk to is really worth it. It's also worth mentioning that the clutch and pressure plate in this kit are awesome. The pedal is now super stiff, and coupled with the clutch delay valve delete mod that I just did, I don't know why you would ever need more clutch pedal feel. So to wrap up a kind of long-winded review, in my opinion, a lightweight flywheel's advantages outweigh any of the disadvantages. I can recommend UUC for their customer service and quality, so if you have any questions about this setup, then leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more reviews like this one. Until then, thanks for watching.